I'm running ever so slightly behind schedule. I am meeting my friend Georgia, who I met on the Lake District campaign, for breakfast. And I'm very excited because she works in influencer marketing for the publishing industry, and she has an early copy of Catabasis. And so I am, not asking for spoilers, but I'm dying to know her thoughts, especially because it comes out in a few weeks. And I'm dying to get my hands on a copy. What is on my sock? But I've got my Fairfax and Favor sneakers that I don't wear very often because they're actually just a tiny bit too small. But I wanted to get a little dressed up to go out today. So I just angle you down. That's the fit. Let's head into town. Such a nice morning getting to hang out with Georgia. We went to Lantana, which is an Australian style cafe brunch spot, and we just got to talk about, publishing books. We got to talk a lot about books, which was really fun. And then I went and splurged at West Elm, as you saw, because I got a payment for a brand deal that I did all the way back in May, and decided that I would treat myself. I love when bedrooms look like a hotel, and it's very extra of me, but I love it so much, and I love West Elm. So this is not sponsored by them. I paid with my own money. It was well worth it. And West Elm, if you're watching this, contact me, please. I'd love to work with you. And today is mostly an admin day. I have a lot of calls with my business coaching clients. I don't do very many business coaching calls, but every once in a while I'll get a few. I have a couple of active clients that I primarily focus on helping them develop their social media strategy as well as their online communities. I have a bunch of those calls today, and I need to do a little bit of kind of content work and set myself up for the dissertation for tomorrow, because this week is really focused on the dissertation. So Mondays are admin days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, dissertation days. And that's the kind of cadence of things at the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive in because I just need to clear out my inbox, make a bit of a plan, and get myself sorted for the week ahead. So the immediate reaction that I have is, for LinkedIn, I would lean entrepreneurship and productivity. The antithesis of like somebody who's wanting to engage with arts content. Yes. 2 of my calls got rescheduled, which means that I currently have an hour and a half until my next call. So I wasn't planning on doing dissertation stuff today, but we're just gonna crack open some primary sources and see what I can get accomplished. Otherwise, I'm just gonna like sit here and doom scroll, because I got through my email inbox, made up my to-do list. Content that needed to be edited for today is now done. So why not? Let's read some 17th century sermons. I didn't charge my iPad. check in since yesterday. So I did get words on the page yesterday. I didn't actually check the word count because I was just kind of reworking this one section. I just think that the information that I had pretty early on felt like it was making the chapter a bit top heavy. So I decided to move that down and then replace it with 2 other paragraphs that are almost complete. And I'm going to continue working on those today. But I found that working from home yesterday, I was just feeling a bit stunted. Like I was just getting distracted and just not really feeling like I could get in the flow. So I'm going to actually leave the flat this morning. We are going to go to a coffee shop and we are going to try to write this one section by hand and see how that goes. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I should bring my computer, because if I am getting into a flow, it might be nice to continue working on the computer. I think I'll bring it just in case, but the plan is mostly to work in the dissertation diary and try to write out this one section by hand, just so it hopefully helps me get into a bit of a flow, because I just find that when I'm looking at a screen, sometimes it can be a bit distracting, because then my mind immediately wants to go check my email and that kind of thing, and that's not helpful right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pack my bag and head on into town. I think we're going to go to Covent Garden because one of my favorite coffee shops that's over on Warren Street actually just opened a location near Covent Garden. So I think we'll go there, get a good cup of coffee, and hopefully set ourselves up for a productive day. Today was such a good day. I'm so glad that I got out of the flat and got some writing done. It was a success, which means that I was allowed to go buy some books in Waterstones. And here is the stack. Let's go ahead and go through it. First and foremost, we have a little fantasy romance, which is A Treachery of Swans. This is a modern take on Swan Lake. And when I was a kid, I used to really love the movie The Swan Princess. I used to watch those with my sister all the time. I feel like this is a really fun, like, winter read. Second up, I have a YouTube video coming about books set in Oxford. This is Shibboleth by Thomas Pirhamid Lambert. This is about a boy who comes from an obscure country in Africa. It does not say in the actual blurb, otherwise I would tell you, but he goes off to study at Oxford. This is about identity, about class structure, etc. And I already started reading it and it's beautifully written. So if you really like kind of literary fiction style writing, academia-centered books set in Oxford, it's got the themes of dark academia, but I don't necessarily know that it's got the aesthetics of dark academia. However, you know, I'm only a couple of pages in, so I'll give you a full review later on. Next up, I have been on a bit of a historical fiction kick relating to modern China, and this is Shanghai Girls by Lisa C. and The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chung. Now this one's set in 1937 Shanghai, and then this one is set in 1906 San Francisco Chinatown. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I used to go to Chinatown with my grandmother all the time. And actually back in community college, I took a history class on East Asia and ended up writing a paper all about Chinatown in New York, Boston, and San Francisco, and prostitution. Wrote a lot about like the different kind of gang factions that operated in the varied Chinatowns across the United States. And so I'm very curious about this one. I know that Kate Quinn tends to write like murder mystery sort of books. I really loved The Rose Code, which didn't have a murder mystery, but it did have a mystery element to it, and it felt a bit thrillery. So I'm very curious what the writing style of this is going to be, given that this is a co-authored novel. So very curious about both of these. And lastly, I got Storybook Ending by Moira MacDonald. This is a debut novel, and it just sounded really fun. This is not one that I was planning on getting, but it's basically about a woman, April, who writes a note to a bookseller named Wesley in a book. However, he's not the one that picks it up. Laura is the one who picks it up, thinking that the note has come from Wesley. It just sounded like an interesting comedic love triangle and a very nice, lighthearted, quick read. So I have been reading a lot more contemporary romance recently, and I think that's just because with the dissertation, reading like really heavy historical fiction has just been a lot. But I will say that this year has been one where I have really felt this desire to reconnect with my Chinese heritage and learn more about modern Chinese history. I went to China with my grandmother last year, and ever since I have just been wanting to just read more, and so I'm excited to dig into these, and I just feel like it's a good selection of books. So if you need to bribe yourself into writing your dissertation, maybe bribe yourself with books. I know it's, you know, an expensive, a slightly expensive way of doing things, but food is not motivating enough. Books, on the other hand, books, you can just about tempt me to do anything. So I managed to write 3 pages of my dissertation today. I'm really happy with that. I'm happy with the words that I produced, and I finished a section, so that means that we have a bit of a starting place for tomorrow, and I'm just going to spend the rest of the night watching Buccaneers, reading some good novels, and hoping that I have a nice night of sleep, so that way I can show up tomorrow and produce another 3 pages. Good morning, friends. It is not the next day, it's the day after. I just had so many meetings and appointments and things yesterday, so no dissertation work got done. But today we are starting off with a little trip over to Nagare Bakery, which is right over by the Tate Modern. And they have really good bagels, really good coffee, really good matcha. Just figured it'd be a nice way to start the day. Back when I was writing my master's thesis, I used to go to this coffee shop, which is like a 30-minute drive from my house, pick up coffee, come back, and then start writing. And I don't know why I don't necessarily do the same thing here typically. I guess because I don't have a car, I just don't immediately assume that these things are accessible as things that I could do to get me started for the day. And I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, well, I used to spend about an hour going and getting breakfast and a coffee when I was writing my master's, and that was part of my routine. It was part of the thing that worked. And so I figured, I'm up early, I might as well head on into town, take my dissertation diary with me, and do a bit of writing while at the coffee shop, and then head back and continue writing, because today's a bit of a busy one. We're heading to a wedding tomorrow, but there's a welcome party today, which means that I just need to wrap up a lot of stuff earlier in the day than I normally would in order for us to make it in time. And therefore, I need to ensure that I get all of the appropriate dissertation work sorted. So we're gonna head over to Nagari, get some caffeine, get a bagel, and start writing the dissertation by hand. I ended up writing almost 600 words and finishing up this one section in chapter 2. I feel so good about it. I had like the buzzing energy this morning when I went to the coffee shop, and I'm really glad that I got out of the house and captured some of my thoughts and just did a little bit of a brain dump, and then came home to really just get into the dissertation, and it just went so well. I'm really happy with the way that the chapter is shaping up, and I moved the document out of Scrivener to Google Docs just so that way I could see it all together, and I'm just really liking how it's shaping up as a chapter. So next week is going to be absolute crunch time, but I'm actually kind of excited about it. So last week I was feeling absolutely fried, and this week I am feeling like we're building that momentum back up, and I just feel really good about where I left off and where I'm setting myself up for next week. But that officially concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking around for this dissertation diaries. I can't believe we're like, I think it's 46, maybe 47 episodes in. That's crazy. But it has been such a wonderful time. It is just over 2 weeks until the symposium. By the time you're watching this, it's little less than 2 weeks, and I am really excited because the focus of this year's symposium is community-centered education and how it is that we can create, I guess, like systems of support and structure for those of us that are not in traditional academia, and for those of us that are in academia that want to navigate things intentionally with care in community with others. And I'm just really excited about it. So if you want to join, it's free, it's online. We'd love to have you. All of the links and all of that are going to be in the description. And I just can't wait to see all of you there. It's the most special event of the year. It's just a real opportunity for us to bring the community together, to have conversations about how to navigate things and how to support one another, and what the future of acceptance is going to look like. And it's just very exciting. So I am going to be getting ready for a wedding shortly. And that means that we are done with the week. We are done with the dissertation for this installment. So thank you again, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, friends.